Alrighty. Fine, whatever. So, I noticed when I did my video about Call for an Uprising, sending a bunch of people over to my channel, this interesting thing happened. A bunch of people in his comment section said, "Oh, you took it hook, line, and sinker," effectively. Saying that, oh my god, because I made a video responding to that situation, that means that Call's got me. I'm predictable, I guess, is what they try to go with. Like, I don't know what the actual claim there is, other than, I don't know, Call and I don't like each other, and so he made a video response and I made one. Like, I don't know where that goes, right? Like, you send a couple hundred people to my channel and they all respond in the comment section. I'm gonna show some interest in that. That's it. At the end of the day, this is my job. And let's go ahead and make no bones about what this is, Call. Your easy views. Your easy views. I don't know why it is, but when I responded to your people coming onto my channel, despite there being no story there whatsoever, a bunch of people tuned in. I think people really, really enjoy that kind of conflict for some reason. I don't know why. It feels completely vapid, but I know you've lost basically all of your YouTube channels. Your latest YouTube channel is Wiser Than Serpents, right here, and the only video you've got up on it anymore is called All Good Things Come to an End.
The Wiser Than Serpents YouTube channel. I'm just doing this video to state the obvious. I'm sure most of you have seen that Sheeple Is As Sheeple Does was taken down really, really fast, as were the other two channels. I lost 3 within a span of about 4 weeks. So I'm doing this video to let you know, as of right now, I don't have a plan. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm still doing my daily content over on the website, A Call for an Uprising.
So you know what this sounds like to me, Call? This sounds like a desperate plea to get more views. So what is this? Is this your website is the only thing that you have now? All of your channels keep getting taken down because you say bigoted shit, and that's not really okay. It violates the TOS of the website you signed up for, the TOS you agreed to. Is the story here you sent a whole bunch of people to me because you need the views, and the drama gets you the views, and if you don't get the views via the drama, you're not going to be able to sustain yourself? Like, what's the plan there? Like, you could always do something else. You could always change your ways. Like, there's a huge story in reformation, in becoming a better person. Hell, if you wanted to do that, if you wanted to go on that personal journey, I'm in the middle of playing Final Fantasy IV. That is literally Cecil's story of being a Dark Knight that fights for the wrong reasons and then learns to become a better person throughout the story of the game. I'm literally going through that right now in video game form, and I am more than willing to deal with that in real life form. But what I think is more likely the case is that drama is one of the few things that drives people to channels, and just as it gave me a giant boost in views for some weird reason, you're hoping this will give you a giant boost in views. So technically, there is a bit of this analysis that is me playing right into your hands, right? That's what you're going to think. But the reality is, you've already made a video explaining that you've lost all control. I have done nothing but stand back for 4 years and let you lose control. I didn't have to do anything after a certain bit. But sure, let's see the rest of this video and see where it goes.
I recommend anybody out there, if you want to see my content every day, go over to the website, join. It's $2.99 a month. There's a reason that there's a paywall on the website. 1, it keeps trolls out. 2, it enables me to put up as many videos, hundreds of thousands, millions of hours of video, which I pay monthly to the website to be able to do, as well as email blasts and other things. It's the price of a bottle of water for a month's worth of content. It comes down to about 10 cents a day. I'm only explaining why there's a paywall. because if you're new to this and you go over there and you see one, it might confuse you. That's why there's a paywall, but it's certainly worth the price of admission. All my videos archived, thousands of videos, all the videos I've done over the years are over there, so you can binge watch a lot of the stuff that I've covered in the past. Obviously, going through all of the different crazy things that have occurred over the last 10 years or so, a lot of the stuff that's been censored and removed from this platform. So that's available over there, as well as the forum, which is really worth the price of the...
Okay, so this is just you advertising your channel. Advertising merch. That's it. Okay. Cool, why not? Why not? It's worth it, trust me on the definition of biased. I mean, like, I'm biased as well. But okay. So that channel's been taken down. So over in the lower left-hand corner here, you'll see this AI Donald Trump. Because Call uses AI for almost all of his thumbnails over on Rumble, which is where I'm going to look at this now. But you notice something weird. Here, I'll see if you can see it. Over on places that aren't YouTube, you just don't have the kind of following you used to. 15,000 followers is a lot of followers, but it is a tiny amount compared to the 400 or 500 you used to enjoy? 400 or 500,000? It's an empire that you lost, and it's all your fault. So, let's go ahead and take a listen to this video. Maybe we'll find something interesting.
YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its
real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
So he hasn't changed that opening in years. Now, granted, the edited opening is honestly way cooler. I'm not even gonna lie. That edited opening is way cooler than the animated one you used to have with, like, Jesus Christ jumping through the sky and kicking Satan in the balls. Like, that was somewhat neat, but the smash cut editing is way more eye-catching. So, props to you for improving on one aspect. Let's see if your audio improved. Because there's one aspect of you that I have always criticized. And it's not just your bigoted views. It's the fact that for some reason, despite having a channel of 500,000 subscribers, once upon a time, you never actually got your audio fixed up. So let's see here if you still sound like you're in a basement.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show.
You still sound like you're in the basement. Some people never change. Let me go ahead and give you a bit of advice, my guy. Just real quick. It's going to be free. The problem you're facing here is that this sounds like echo. Bad echo. Now, you can solve this problem, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to solve this problem. Blankets. Those are blankets. Over there. All around there. Blankets. A lot of blankets. Whole lot of blankets all around my office. Blankets everywhere, coating all the walls. Trust me, buddy. You will thank yourself. You will thank yourself. Your audio will improve significantly. If you want to be that radio host, by all means, that is what you do. Just cover your walls in blankets. You don't have to buy that expensive, like, foam padding that looks like egg crates in order to make your room sound like it's professional quality. All you got to do is put blankets there, just everywhere around. Easiest thing in the world. Hell, I'll even come over and help you do it. Because despite your previous calls for violence against me, I'm willing to put that water under a bridge. You seem to have, maybe, learned your lesson from all that. All you gotta do is make an effort. Just a tiny bit of effort. Just a wee little bit. Just a wee little bit.
Let's all hope that this is the story that starts waking up conservatives to this rigged system, that this is not a democracy, this is not a republic anymore, and what they're trying to bring about is a technocracy. Because the left and the right have been working together for the last 10 years or so to dismantle the infrastructure of the United States government from the top to the bottom.
So far he's right, actually. So far he's right. It's not a technocracy, though. That bit is inaccurate. It's not a technocracy that's being aimed for, though, Call. It's something called techno-feudalism. That's the word you're looking for. So a technocracy would assume that the United States would still exist in its current form. Techno-feudalism, on the other hand, is what billionaires are actively trying to reorder the world into. By breaking apart nation-states, starting with America, into smaller bite-sized chunks that can be ruled over by effectively micro-millionaires, crypto-millionaires, people who are able to buy the land to create their own little micro-countries within what, at that time, would have once been the United States. That's the plan. And there have been a ton of billionaires who have gone on the record, millionaires mostly actually, who have gone on the record to say that this is something that they want to do. It's not the word you said. You're looking for techno-feudalism, because that allows you to break up the United States into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Everything you've seen on the news, all of the nonsense that has gaslit, that has manipulated people, that has gotten people to hate their own neighbor based on political ideology, it's all been deliberate. It is a psychological operation.
Once again, we are technically in agreement. There has been a psyop to get Americans to hate their neighbor and to not discuss things with the people around them. It's why I've been so adamant about people going outside and touching grass and making friends and finding community. Call, I'm very surprised. I am honestly impressed. We've managed to agree with each other on 2 points so far. And that's 2 more points than I expected us to be able to agree on at all. Ever. So, since we're in this rare moment of agreement, let's see if there's more.
To bring the infrastructure down, to make the people demand change, to make people hate the opposite political party so much so that they would rather see a technocracy in place than the opposite political party, because that's how much they loathe and detest them. And the technocracy is a communist digital infrastructure.
I had such high hopes. We were doing so good. We were doing so well, buddy. Come on, bud. Come on, Call. Do you know what communism is? You can't have a technocracy with communism. Not really. Because a technocracy still has a top-down hierarchy. Communism is a stateless, classless, moneyless society. One could even argue it is an impossible society to construct. Because people, generally speaking, will lean into hierarchies. At least people of my generation will. I know there's going to be some anarchitties in the chat or in the comment section who are going to disagree with me. But I'm fairly certain of this one. Communism is an ideal that many of us would want to strive for. Even you, actually. Call. Your trepidation in regards to top-down government control is actually completely in line with what communists generally want. Communists don't want money controlling things. They actually usually want money abolished. Communists don't want the state to turn into a technocracy because they don't want the fucking state to begin with. Communists don't want this top-down infrastructure. Hell, many, I'd even argue most communists, would rather the only top-down hierarchy to exist to be between them and God. Now, I'm no Christian, but I know you claim to be one. I feel like that's an ideal you personally would love to strive for, right? Well, we've already had the L's. Let's see if there's any more W's in here.
Where these people will have total control over every single thing we do, every single thing we say, our bank accounts, our movements, how often we can drive, what we're allowed to eat. It all comes down to behavioral control. And
okay, we are at the W's again. We are at the W's again. You and I both agree on this. You and I actually both agree on this one. But your enemy here, I promise you, is not the left. It is not non-Christians. I'd argue it's not even Satan. Your enemy here is something that cannot be boiled down so easily into a concept like a person. Your enemy here, inconvenient as it is a system. Paul? Your enemy is a system. That system is capitalism. You solve this problem by dismantling capitalism. So why don't we have a conversation on how to do that? That's what you do. You can't fix this system as it currently exists. You either need a nightmare amount of reformations or a full-on abolishment.
And I've been saying it for years with Donald Trump. And now maybe people will start seeing the signs. Because Donald Trump has partnered with Palantir to bring about this AI governance infrastructure that is what they've been talking about at the World Economic Forum and the United Nations for the last 20 years or so. And people have become so desensitized to hearing words like compiling data that they don't realize what these people are actually doing with the data that they're gathering. They're building digital profiles on all of us.
Yeah, again, I agree. But I think it should be very important to note, people like Trump believe that him alone are going to stay in power, and they want to use that data in order to make sure that they can gain power. However, the tech billionaires, and even the tech millionaires, the people who got rich off of crypto, what they want largely is techno-feudalism, where they can dismantle the United States as we currently understand it, and instead turn it into a small amount of nation-states that are easier to control. That, of course, who rules over what will be determined by who has the money to rule over what. This is the problem generally with conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists on the whole, is they take a kernel of truth and then they run with it to the ends of the earth until that kernel has rotted and molded away and turned into nothing even remotely resembling the truth anymore. Old Gus says, I mean, very different. A technocracy is ruled by experts, but techno-feudalism is a creditocratic system, locking people into cycles of debt and labor utilizing technological systems, whereas the owners and investors have the power. Yeah. Again, we're using words, and we're not using them the way that they are supposed to be used. Because what you're describing is also not a technocracy, then. What you're describing is oligarchy. Because who has access to the data is going to be the people who can afford the data. And if you have a society ruled by money, primarily, then the word for that is oligarchy. You have an oligarchy. Here. Let's do that fun thing where we get definitions up. Let's do that real quick. So let's type in technocracy. See how far that applies. The government of society is controlled by an industry of elite technical experts. Okay. That does not sound like what you described. Let's look up oligarchy. A small group of people having control of a country, organization, or institution. This is the one you're looking for. Do you see, you say the word technocracy because it makes people scared. It's a scary word that people don't understand. And nobody Googles it because you have an audience of people who don't look up definitions. And you don't do your content live like I do, which is not a good or bad thing, but you don't get fact-checked in the middle of your statements. I do. Now, sometimes people in my own audience agree with the things I say and go along with them even if they should not. I would rather have an audience of people who are skeptical of the things that I say and are willing to fact-check me. Robbie says, hey, Suris, hey, guess what? So, Ravi, in the past when you've said those words... Ah, I see what it is. Okay, that's better than what I thought. Wait! God damn it. Fucking... Oh, whoa. There, you get your thing. Anyway. Yeah, call. It's not the word you're using. You're not using that word right.
And the laws and the rules and the things you're allowed to say are going to change, much like China. And of course, they're going to bring in a social credit score. But as things continue to change with what...
We already have that. I don't think people realize or understand how close our current credit score system is to the Chinese social credit score system. And I don't think people quite understand how much something, even as soft as, say, cancel culture, insofar as we can even define there being one, mirrors that same system. But again, what Call does, his bread and butter, largely, is using big scary words to make his audience think that he is some massive truth teller, and he'll describe things vague enough so that people can assume that they actually do come to fruition. Axo says, Suris, do those hanging ladies have tops? I don't know, and maybe it's better if they don't. I mean, what?
What hate speech is and what isn't hate speech. You will be criminalized for the things you do and say online. So Donald Trump has partnered with Palantir, and this is going to be a nightmare for all conservatives and all Democrats, and this should be something that unites.
It's weird that you say conservatives and Democrats, like you don't actually know how to articulate the different flavors of the left that exist. Like, there's syndicalists, there's anarchists, there's communists, there's liberals, there's... I mean, liberals aren't technically left, but it's as close as you're going to get in America. There's socialists, which is what I am. And they're not all the same thing. Communists believe in a classless, moneyless, stateless society. Socialists believe that the means of production should be controlled by the workers instead of the few. Liberals believe in capitalism as a rule of thumb, but they want there to be restraints on it, generally speaking. Syndicalists would rather the worlds and countries be controlled by a series of economic guilds, as opposed to being controlled by governments, but that the members of those economic guilds be elected the same way people are in governments. So you end up having rule of the workers, but those workers still have democratic elections within themselves. There's a lot of different flavors of the left. And Democrat isn't one of them. Democrat's a political party. Conservative is also a grouping of ideologies. In there, you might have fascists. You might have hardcore nationalists. You might have capitalists. It's a giant group.
People together against technology, because the only way to push back here, the only way for an actual revolution is to give the middle finger to tech, start getting back to the basics, and being less dependent on technology, because the more dependent we are on technology, the more the control they're going to get. And all of a sudden, these people have full-on control because people are addicted to their technology, and they know that.
Again, on that I agree. On that I agree. I am more than willing to agree with you on that one. Do we have more call W's than L's in this?
And they knew that they would become that over the last 15 or 20 years, that they have gotten people obsessed with their phones and addicted to searching and looking for every possible answer to every question they have on the internet. So here is the story with Palantir.
Wait, hold on. No. See, that take right there is stupid. That's what we call an anti-intellectual take. There's nothing wrong with using the tools available to you. And so, using the internet, comprised of people, to fact-check when people feed them bullshit is not actually a bad thing, Paul. Like, I agree with you that people are far too dependent on their technology and that it's become a vice for people. You know what one of the most depressing things was for me? After I was done at the gym, I went to Smoothie King. That is my vice. I love Smoothie King. It is probably my favorite treat of all time and has been for years. I wish it wasn't so expensive. But most of the time, if I go to the gym, I'm going to do a smoothie afterwards. It also stops my muscles from hurting when I do, so that helps. So I go to the Smoothie King, and I've ordered my smoothie online, which I don't think there's much of a problem with. But after ordering my smoothie online, I get there and realize my smoothie isn't done yet. Okay, that's fair. I'll just wait. I'll just sit around and wait. There's plenty of things that can entertain me here. I can watch the staff do their job. I used to work in food. That's fascinating. I could strike up a conversation with anybody at the shop. That could also be fun. It just honestly depends on who's there. You know what everybody was doing? Everybody waiting on their drink. All of them, eyes deep in their phone. Eyes deep in their phone. Also, VTuber Kronos, I haven't seen you in ages. How you doing? But everybody was eyes deep in their phones. Doing nothing but browsing TikToks, scrolling social media, the works. Nobody was talking to each other. Nobody had any time for each other. And the worst part was, Kronos, thank you so much for resubscribing. What level is Rosa? Rosa is 41. The worst part of it was that nobody was engaging in anything fun or good or productive. Like, I could understand if they were reading a book or playing a video game, but no. Dude in front of me was scrolling either TikToks or YouTube shorts, and the people sitting in their chairs were on Twitter. And yeah, you can say whatever you want about why were you looking at their phones, but if I'm standing at an angle and your phone is just in your hands, glancing at your direction is also looking at your phone. If you're scared about people doing that, buy a privacy screen. You have that ability. Nobody having a conversation with each other. Nobody having any comments with each other. When I'm at the gym and people aren't on their phone, I can at least talk to people. Like, that's fun. And the thing that frustrates me is because nobody was doing anything that enriched their life. They were just passively drooling on social media. They're actively draining their body's ability to engage with dopamine. I'm not even shitting you. Healthy Gamer GG did a fantastic video on how social media actively deadens our dopamine sensors. And people who are addicted to social media end up having very, very similar reactions to dopamine as people who are depressed, like have clinical depression, where their body does not interact with dopamine basically at all. VTuber says, the number of times I open Twitter and it's on the wrong account is definitely more than one. Nearly gives me a heart attack every time. Ah, see, you're the smart kind of person. You've got a separate Gooner account. You're not like me, who will actively goon on main because I own my degeneracy. Jessica says, fuck, that explains so much. Yeah. If you want to improve your life, if you want to improve your health, one of the first things you can do, I promise you, is put your fucking phone down. When I went into the Smoothie King, I left my phone in the car. If I know I'm not going to be at anywhere for too terribly long, where nobody's going to need me, I usually try to leave my phone within a distance away from me so that I don't end up using it, because if it's not, then I will just end up picking it up out of habit. But anyway, Call, let's continue going with TechBad. Because the problem is not that technology's bad, the problem is the ways in which technology has been utilized. And social media is one of the shittiest ways that technology has been utilized, at least in its current form. We used to have a good version of social media. It was called forums. Places where people actively engaged and had conversations and didn't have algorithmic fights with fucking typing monkeys.
Here, and pay attention to the stuff I talk about, including the kill chain, later in the video. But here's the news clip for anyone out there that's wondering who Palantir is and what they're doing.
The Trump administration wants your data, but why? The White House is reportedly teaming up with controversial tech powerhouse Palantir, the data analysis and technology firm co-founded by Trump mega donor Peter Thiel. The purpose?
Midnight Snack Forum, thank you for reading me your points for an... you frickin' degenerate. I did not see it. I am sorry.
To build a federal database tracking millions of Americans. Supporters say it'll stop fraud and boost efficiency. Critics call it a surveillance nightmare. But what's really happening? And why is this new system sparking so much outrage?
Waste, fraud, and abuse.
It's unacceptable to President Trump to allow rampant waste, fraud, and abuse.
Billions and billions and billions of dollars of fraud and waste.
In case you hadn't heard, President Trump is on a quest to quash waste, fraud, and abuse. And his administration expands its footprint across the federal government. All roads run through the tech giant Palantir. A March executive order pushes all federal agencies to share their data, effectively giving Palantir the keys to the kingdom. At least 4 major agencies are already on board: the IRS, Homeland Security, Health and Human Services, and the Social Security Administration. Each channeling sensitive data like medical claims, bank accounts, even immigration records into one central database.
On its face, it looks like the government is trying to save money in terms of operations, not doing the same thing over and over again. When you look a little deeper, or perhaps the implications or the risk is putting all the information together at one time going to create a greater risk for the American public.
The goal? Catch fraud, spot threats before they escalate, and streamline how government works. The pitch is compelling: fewer wasted tax dollars, faster services, and smarter law enforcement. But Palantir, co-founded by Trump ally Peter Thiel, would have unprecedented access to Americans' personal data. That has some employees walking away. The fears go beyond privacy. Critics say the system could be weaponized, used to go after political opponents.
That's the same shit. God, it feels so weird to actually agree with Call on this. But it's the same shit that you would see in any dystopian surveillance state. Said, God, Trump looks like every cartoon movie villain ever. Is it just that Trump being in office means that we are more likely to see eye to eye on shit because we have a common enemy? Is that what's going on here?
Or vulnerable communities. And once the data's centralized, it's nearly impossible to undo, and it could make it more difficult to protect.
In this case, now, instead of something being segmented, now potentially an entire mass database of virtually the entire U.S. population could be at risk.
Palantir's contracts are already being renewed into next year, but federal agencies have until September to report their data sharing compliance.
So really what you saw there is a company that is working with the military, military contracts, government contracts, who is providing the government with every possible detail about every single civilian in America. And they're doing it all around the earth. As
Sylvie DB says, I mean, are you agreeing with them or are you agreeing with the take in which you could both have for different reasons? So, like, okay, my take is this. I agree that mass government surveillance like this is bad. And I think me and Call both agree on that point. Mass government surveillance like this is bad. It's not good. It's not a good thing. Like, that's what I'm agreeing with.
I'll show you momentarily. But remember, this is all about bringing in AI governance. The motto of the World Economic Forum is AI Governance Alliance. Donald Trump on day one talked about bringing in a $500 billion AI infrastructure. And this is the beast system. This is what it looks like. This is when social credit.
Are you sure that that's the case, though? It's like, okay, so if I were to offer an eensy bit of pushback there, just a little bitist, is it wanting AI to govern us, or is it more likely that the World Economic Forum is trying to find ways that AI, as we understand it, because it's not AI, it's fucking large language models, it's machine learning, is used to better society as opposed to hurt it? Because, like, mass surveillance is horrible. That's not a thing that we want. We've already seen the Big Brother shit since the Patriot Act happened. And it's been bad since then, it's bad now. But I'm not 100% certain I trust Call for an Uprising, of all people, to understand what AI governance is being talked about at the World Economic Forum, specifically. Old Gus says the IRS having access to your info could mean that they actually tell you what your tax burden is. Yeah, that's not gonna fucking happen. That's not gonna happen. No, they make too much money by fucking with us. Let's see here. AI governance meaning. Okay, so just the fucking scraped thing. The framework of policies, processes, and practices that guide the responsible development and use of AI systems. So again, Call, is this you doing the thing where you say the big scary word, you say AI governance, and people think, oh my god, we're going to be governed by AI? Is that what's happening? Because, like, if that's what's happening, I'm really bored. VTuber Chrono says, if we can come together like we did with CFCs and stop the AI stuff, that'd be great. Just the downsides far outweigh the benefits? Yeah. Like, I'm gonna be honest, if large language models disappeared tomorrow, I'd be happy. The only thing I use the fucking tech for is tagging videos. And, like, if I can't find a video to react to for a short, I'll say, hey, what videos are trending? Like, all it does is shave 15 or 20 seconds off of my day. I'm okay losing that again. It doesn't fucking bother me.
Credit scores come in and digital IDs come in. They are doing all of these psyops out in the news to make you want these things. All conservatives care about right now is border control and border safety, because the government's been putting out psyops and false flags about people crossing the border and about detaining people, who's allowed to be here and who's not. The digital ID will put an end to all of that, and they're making you want that digital ID, just like they told you in 2020 and 2021 during COVID that they wanted a digital passport and everybody rejected it. Well, they pivoted. They pivoted to a new PSYOP, which is the border PSYOP, which is illegals crossing the border and making people say, you know what, it's not safe here anymore. Maybe we do need a digital ID to track all the people coming in and out. So Palantir, let's talk about them. Palantir, it is named based off of the translucent stones that were used for communication and intelligence gathering in the Lord of the Rings books and movies. Now, I've never seen the Lord of the Rings. I'd rather get neutered than sit through something like that.
What's wrong with Lord of the Rings? It's a good book series. What? Movies are good. What's the problem with that? Is it that it's fantasy? Like, you can't... I'd imagine that somebody like you struggles engaging in fantasy because you already struggle, like, separating fantasy from reality in general. So I can see how it may be a struggle to enjoy Lord of the Rings. But it's still just a fun fucking series. Hell, I might rewatch it after this just because of you, buddy.
But again, it is named after the Seeing Stones from the Lord of the Rings, where users were able to see things from far away or even look into the past. And we know, of course, things like the Neuralink are trademarking words like telepathy and telekinesis. We know that the government has dabbled in remote viewing, in fact, mastered remote viewing, but these are things they want you to think are works of fiction. So Palantir is owned by Peter Thiel.
They want you to telekinesis is a work of fiction. It's not a real thing. We have zero evidence of it being even possible. We have zero evidence of it functioning. Again, is this what it is, Carl? Is it you just not understanding the difference between fiction and reality? Like, when you find me evidence of a person doing telekinesis, like actually doing it, at that point, maybe we can have a conversation. PJ Blazer says, I want the Lord of the Ring books, then get them. I think the whole set's like $20, right? So his reaction to Lord of the Rings shows a crazy amount of insecurity. Holy shit. Yeah, like, it's just... It's either he needs to appeal to an audience that is that crazy, or alternatively, he just is that crazy.
So Peter Thiel is known most notoriously for being one of the co-creators of PayPal, along with Elon Musk. And Palantir is in bed with the CIA, the NSA, the Air Force, the Marine Corps. All forms of our government operate through Palantir. And it reminds me of the movie that just came out, at least the trailer that I saw for this movie, called Mountainhead, where they're showing you how these tech billionaires are manipulating and controlling all of the world events. These people are people that need to be identified as people who are bringing about this globalist new world order, this technocracy.
Okay, yep, no, we're done with the agreements, I guess. Because now we're at the point where you're saying the word globalists, which is literally just a stand-in for Jews. Okay.
Control system, this digital grid that they're trying to bring forth. These people are hiding in the shadows. We're all looking constantly at the Klaus Schwabs of the world, but we need to start looking at the people like Peter Thiel and the guy I'll eventually get into in this video, Alex Karp, who is as wicked as they get. But guess who else is in bed with Palantir? Well, Elon Musk is also in bed with Palantir.
Okay.
And over the last couple of days, with all of the stage drama, which is another distraction that they're doing with Donald Trump and Elon Musk has been tweeting out that he has a new political vision for America called the American Party, which is really technocracy in disguise. The people have spoken. A new political party is needed.
Is it technocracy again? Again, the technocracy is a rule by the experts. It's kind of, if I were being super specific, it's kind of what Aristotle argued for, a rule by philosophers. Like, that's what it is. It's not rule by technology.
In America to represent the 80% in the middle. And there aren't 80% in the middle. We all know that many of these sheeple are sucked into the left-right paradigm, and it's essential to pull them out, to make them realize that they're creating all of this noise and all of these psyops.
Holy shit, what is this Spider-Woman? What is this Spider-Woman? Why are all the women in Final Fantasy IV so fucking hot? Jesus. Anyway, she's still gotta die. Sheeple drink. Someone else draw that, I'm busy. Jesus. Also, the left-right paradigm, it's not so much a paradigm as it is a shorthand. So, like, human beings of all shapes, sizes, and colors appreciate shorthand speech. We pretend we don't. We pretend that we like the wordy, the verbose. But the reality is, people like when language is short. It's why memes exist. It's a shorthand for a shared experience. Truth be told, there are far more politics than just left and right. Because again, you might have a left-wing person who is left-wing because they hate capitalism, but they actually really, really like authority. That's a tanky. VTuber Chrono says, I have arachnophobia, but still would. Okay, yeah, but look, if you have arachnophobia, it's hotter because you're scared. Like, that's just what that is. That's that big sub energy. It's hotter because you're scared. Let me let Growlith in real quick. All right, Doggo is in. Let's see what else is on the docket in this video.
To keep us divided. It's the oldest motto in the book, divide and conquer. And that's the purpose that the left-right paradigm serves. They're tearing down the government because they're keeping the people divided and creating psyops to make the people want change. And it's all about a technocracy. Now, I want to play this clip of Peter Thiel talking.
You keep saying that word. I don't think you actually know what that means. But okay.
Where he talks about how technology is an incredible alternative to politics. And people are going to think that's a good idea and a good thing. Because
no, it's not. Politics is us having a discussion. Technology is a tool. But okay, let's see.
Obviously, politics are a nightmare. Obviously, the politicians have gone out of their way over the last couple of years to make everyone hate all politicians on either side of the aisle for the most part. That's been done by design so that people eventually say, you know what? Let's get rid of politics. These people are corrupt. And let's go through technology, because technology doesn't see sides. Technology just sees right down the middle, they'll convince you. But of course, the technology is going to enslave you. It's going to give them master control over everything. And here's Peter Thiel as well, as you can hear the disdain in his voice about Christianity. Because as I'll get into eventually in the video, Palantir is involved with everything going on over in Israel. And if you think the Palestinians, the Muslims are the only ones that are going to be targeted, think again. Because they despise Christians even more. And this will give them...
Okay. What's the actual evidence that they specifically hate Christians? Like, you know, you can hate Christianity as a religion and not actually hate Christians as people, right?
Ample opportunity to target Christians when they're monitoring everything they're saying, every email they're sending, anything in regards to the synagogue of Satan or anything else that they consider hate speech. So here he is talking about these multiple ideologies.
The basic idea was that we could never win an election on getting certain things because we were in such a small minority. But maybe you could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through technological means. And this is where I think technology is this incredible alternative to politics.
Okay, so we are now at the point where I actually agree with Call again. Because what he's described there is algorithmic marketing. He's describing algorithmic marketing. Now, what is that? Algorithmic marketing is what happens when, and this is going to sound silly, people are marketed to utilizing algorithms. I know, shocker, right? It's a shocking thing. Algorithmic marketing is done when your viewing habits are data scraped so that a company can figure out what best to advertise to you. If you can do algorithmic marketing good enough, then you can figure out what people's tastes are and how best to manipulate them. If you can figure out how best to manipulate people, at that point, you don't have to convince them of anything. You just need to put the right stimuli in front of them, and they will convince themselves. So yes, I once again find myself agreeing with Call, but maybe not necessarily for the right reasons.
There certainly is a sense in which the sort of materialist, scientific, technological utopia seems quite at odds with a Christian, Judeo-Christian worldview. But I think there are some commonalities that it's worth also stressing. And I think one very important commonality is that both have this view that the future will look very different from the present or the past, and this is certainly the view that's presented in science fiction. It's presented in the New Jerusalem is not, you're not going back to the Garden of Eden, and so there sort of is a sense that the future looks very different from the past. I think that we are living in a society that I think is people who are Christian often like to complain that it's sort of vaguely anti-Christian in different ways. I would submit that it is at least as anti-scientific and anti-technological. And so if you look at the movies that Hollywood makes, it would be hard-pressed to come up with a single movie in which science and technology are portrayed in a positive light. And they basically show...
There's plenty of movies where science and technology are played in a positive light. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? This sounds like what happens when somebody's only ever watched Terminator. And because they've only ever watched Terminator, their understanding of how technology is shown in media is, well, it's Skynet. Everything's Skynet. The fuck?
Science and technology that kills people, it doesn't work, and you have...
Real quick in chat, name at least one movie where technology is not the enemy, but is in fact the savior, effectively. Axo says, Wandla? What's Wandla?
You have a menu of dystopias you can choose from. The future will look like Avatar, or the Terminator, or the Matrix.
I fucking knew it! I fucking knew it! I fucking knew it! It was Terminator!
Or Elysium. And it's sort of, if you look at the Gravity movie that came out a year ago, you basically want to go back on a muddy island and never go into outer space. And so I think this notion that we're living this extraordinary, and I think Hollywood, it's sort of, as it often does, it both sort of creates and reflects the popular consensus that science and technology are dangerous things that should be stopped. And so I come at it from the perspective that we have somehow lost our way. We no longer believe in a future that looks very different from the present. I think it's an interesting intellectual history question why we've lost this hope in a better future. But I do think it's a very severe loss, because there are an awful lot of problems that science and technology could help solve, but they will not be solved if we do not try to work at them.
So again, it shouldn't surprise anybody that Peter Thiel packs the fudge, because most of these guys in Silicon...
Oh my fucking god, why are we at the homophobia? What does the homophobia accomplish? What is the point of the homophobia? You can point out the dude's a piece of shit without talking about him packing shit. It's easy. Because there's nothing wrong with a person being gay. Now I remember why I have so many problems with Call, because we agree on a bunch of shit. But then he goes, actually, the problem is the gays. Actually, the problem is people loving one another. Let's talk about the left-right paradigm and how bad it is, but also let me reinforce it by being an absolute fucking knob. Jessa says, let's talk about how he killed his gay lover. Big problem. Ay, oy, oy. Old Gus says, but in that... Okay, we're talking about the technology thing. Okay, let's see here. What about the millions of other gay people who don't kill their lover? Hey.
On Valley do. And if you know about the people that pack the fudge, well, you know what their preferences are.
Oh my god, it's just gay people. What's wrong with people being gay? What's wrong with people loving one another? Paul, you can't fucking do this, dude. You can't do this shit where you go, oh, the elites are pitting us against each other. And I'm gonna reinforce every fucking problem I have with them. Did you know that some people engage in butt sex? That makes me deeply uncomfortable. Jesus Christ. Did you say there's a trick to fighting Asura? I see them casting Protect constantly. Okay, so that's... Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on. Is it... Don't tell me that the solution... Don't tell me the solution to this fight is just... White magic... Where's Reflect? Where's Reflect? Is that all it is? Because, like, if it's just gonna auto-cast Life and Cure on itself constantly, then I'm just gonna cast Reflect on it. That worked a lot in Final Fantasy III, and seems like it's gonna work perfectly fine here. Bingo? Okay, that's all it was. It's just cast Reflect on it. Okay, cool. Neato.
In the bedroom. So Peter Thiel has hired Alex Karp as the CEO of Palantir. They go way back with one another. And Alex Karp is connected to the Bilderberg Group. He's connected to the World Economic Forum. He's actually one of the most wicked people you'll ever hear speak. And you could just tell by looking at Alex Karp that something's off, right? Not just because of his crazy hair. And you can see his cover of Forbes magazine.
What does that matter? Like, we seem to have a lot of the same enemies, my dude. We seem to have a lot of the same enemies, my good douche. You could, theoretically, simply criticize the things they're doing. What the fuck does his looks have to do with anything?
Meet Big Brother. Because these are the people behind the curtain who are responsible for the mass censorship that's been going on, creating the algorithms that are censoring all of us, and trying to bring in behavioral control, as you'll hear him say in some of these clips. And you can see his profile even on the World Economic Forum's website. And of course, Alex Karp is never married, conveniently, right? A lot of these guys don't marry. A lot of these guys have a very bizarre lifestyle, and it doesn't surprise anybody.
Paul, you're probably not married. What the fuck are you talking about? Jesus Christ.
Out there when they read that he's actually well, the religion that he follows is called the Kabbalah. And I'll leave it at that. Palantir stands with Israel, one of the...
I'll leave it at that. My guy, can you elaborate? It's called the Kabbalah. Esoteric method, discipline, school of thought, and Jewish mysticism. Okay, cool. So your problem is that he's Jewish. Your problem is that he's Jewish. Okay. Okay. Once again, on the topic of shared enemies. Buddy, you and I probably both have the same ideas on Israel, at least broadly speaking. Broadly speaking. Because you can basically surmise it as Israel bad. Is the easiest thing in the world. Why is your criticism now, oh, I'm just going to leave it at this? No. Stop doing this easy as shit thing where you let your audience fill in the blanks. You are the content creator. You are the person who is responsible for delivering that message to your audience. So instead of hiding behind the silly, oh jeez, it's Kabbalah, and I'll leave it at that. You know what that means. Just explain it. Just say you don't like Jewish people. Have the balls to. You're on Rumble. Nobody's gonna fucking ban you on Rumble.
Post that they recently put in the newspaper. You could just look at these guys and you know they're involved in disturbing activities. This guy, Alex Karp, is just...
Okay, once again, we're probably talking about the same enemies here. But if what you're going to do is say, you just have to look at these guys. No, you don't. No, you don't. Paul, if you're going to become a better person, if you're going to become a better creator, then we're going to stop doing this judging books by their cover bullshit. And you need to actually take some time to figure out how to offer criticism to people and groups that is worth offering. Because it's not worth offering if all you're going to be doing is being like, look at the hair, Jewish. Explain why being Jewish is a problem. Explain why being Jewish is offensive to you. Because not all Jews are Zionists. Not all Jews are good with the state of Israel. Not all Jews are okay with the genocide of the Palestinians. And not all Jews want fucking global control over everything.
Just as bad as anybody I've discussed, including Bill Gates. Listen to some of the stuff he says that even sound a lot like what Larry Fink says. Because remember, all of the stuff they're trying to do is about behavioral control. And people hear behavioral control and they're like, well, maybe we do need to control people's behavior. But you don't understand what the behavioral control is. If I told you behavioral control is, oh, well, we're going to stop criminals from committing crimes or we're going to rehabilitate them, everyone will go, oh, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we need to change their behavior because they're bad people. They look at everyday citizens as bad people. If you're non-compliant to their enslavement grid, you're considered a bad person with bad behavior. If you have any religious beliefs, you're considered a bad person with bad behavior.
Do you have any evidence of that? Like, that's a hell of a claim. Can you back it up with anything? Because, like, again, shared enemies. I'm perfectly willing to accept that these are bad people that are doing bad things because they're allied with a state that is trying to do a genocide. Easiest thing in the world to convince me on. But are you willing to actually explain any of that? Or are you just going to do this half in one hand, half in the other? You make it up as you go along. It's a conspiracy. Fill in your own blanks bullshit. Because that doesn't... All right. We're done watching your video. here's the end part that nobody in your audience is going to get to. Here's the reason why this upsets me, Call. You have a massive audience. And it's not just that you spread hatred and you do conspiracy theory shit and you allow people to engage in thought-terminating cliches, which is an irresponsible thing to do as a content creator. It's that you have a platform where you are legitimately able to do some good. 500,000 subscribers and the ability to rebuild a channel over and over and over again after it gets taken down. That is a commendable thing. That is a hard thing to do. And my guy, it is impressive that you've been able to do it so many times. Despite the fact that you deserved every ounce of what happened to you. But somebody with that skill set should be doing some good in the world. Instead of just yelling about baseless conspiracy theories and how Jewish people are bad and how Satan's going to be coming for their buttholes and how gay people suck. You could be doing so much more. You could be doing so much better as a content creator, as a person, as a thought leader. And you have a proven track record of being able to get people around you with your charisma. And you squander it by being Diet Alex Jones. It's saddening. It's pathetic. Again, you can do way better than that. And you actively choose not to. You actively wake up every day and you decide that self-improvement isn't happening. You're going to continue using the same methods every day, going for the same bottom dollar, lowest common denominator people who can't think for themselves, and instead of teaching them how to think for themselves, you do this con artist shit. And then you ask for money for it. And I kind of know where you're coming from. On some small level, I do. As somebody who is also a content creator who relies on my audience to keep me afloat, I make $890 a month off of YouTube. Generally. $1,000 if I'm lucky. I make $700 a month off of Twitch. More if I'm lucky. But that's not enough to pay all of my bills on. For a lot of people, that's not enough to pay all their bills on. I rely on my audience to live. I rely on my audience to function. I rely on my audience to be able to afford groceries, to be able to afford my car payment, to be able to afford my power bill, which is astronomical. I know what it's like to rely on people like that. But what you do is you sell them a narrative that you are the person with all the answers that they need. It's sad because it's predatory. And it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to be that way. You've had ample opportunities to be better. You've had ample opportunities to improve. But after 4 long years of ignoring your existence and coming back to your content, I see that you're still the same pathetic, sad mongrel, and despite the fact that, like I said, we share many an enemy, which provides ample opportunity for cooperation. You would still rather be this scum-sucking, lowest common denominator, peddling to thing. You can be better. I don't know if you know how, but I feel like you actively choose not to. I came into this thinking, let's have some fun. And then you said so many things that I was halfway into agreeing with. And then you just ruined it all by saying all the same tired old shit you've been saying for years that didn't do anything positive when you said it before, and it doesn't do anything positive now. The world's going to shit. And I'd rather see you go through an actual, honest-to-goodness redemption arc. I would. I want to see you be a better person. I want to see you take that audience that is so loyal to you, and for you to actually give them the information they need to go out and do some good, as opposed to sitting in their basements and being scared while handing you $3 a month so that you can feed them all the reasons they should be scared all over again. That's what I want to see. More than anything. It's just one of the ways you can be a better person. You've got a group of people who you can mobilize into doing not just better, but real, solid, honest-to-goodness good. And I'm hoping if you're watching, you decide to heed this. Maybe we can have a talk. We had one 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm not open to having the conversation again. But you can do better. You really can. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I really could not do any of this without all of you. Those of you watching, and especially those of you who support me on Patreon. I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to thank all of you who do that, because with YouTube being what it is these days, I really cannot do this full-time without the support from each and every one of you. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Tales of Atonement, Nixie Chan, Kiri Artemis, Limor Pinku, Love Bunny Games, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Aurora, Leela Ururaka, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. Thank you so very much. But since you're here, why not go ahead and try watching another one? There should be one that's on the screen right now. And if you are a patron of mine, I wanted to go ahead and thank you again for all of your support. There is still a video you could press, though, if you'd like. I would appreciate it just a little bit.